let's talk a little more about marketing. Okay. I like this quote, "Before you build a better mousetrap, it helps to know if there's any mice out there," from Mortimer Zuckerman. Okay. So let's talk about the role of product marketing. So marketing is really understanding the needs and wants of the customer. That is the most important thing of marketing. Okay, now when I started out as an engineer, I used to think marketing was just advertising, picking colors, things like that. It wasn't, not important. Okay, but it's extremely important, and also I get people come to me and they say, all right, I'm in production, I need to start doing some marketing. So what I want to help people understand is you want to learn about marketing from the very beginning. Okay, and again, it's going on in parallel as you are developing your product. Now, let's say if you're just by yourself, how do I do that? Well, sometimes what you can do is, all right, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, I'm going to work on, let's say, the prototypes and work on that aspect. Maybe Thursday and Friday, I'm going to start thinking about marketing. Okay, and you can kind of break it up like that. That's one strategy. Okay, because otherwise you can get sucked into just doing one thing, and that's the end of it. Okay, then you start marching down the road, and you realize, hey, I should have done some marketing. Okay? So again, number one, understanding the needs and wants of the customer. Number two, this is where you translate what they want into the product that you're going to build. Okay? You hear about product requirements, product specifications. Okay? So you might want to be a little more attention to find out what are the product characteristics that's important to them. Okay? So you're going to be listening to them. Now, when I used to work as a product manager, I would go out, find out what the customers want, create a product requirements document, and then go tell engineering, here, this is what we need to build. Okay, and then work with the marketing people and the accountants and the finance people and put it all together. Okay. Now, number three, this is the communications that we think about in terms of what we call marketing, but it's marketing communications, and this is where you tout the benefits and the features that are going to generate the awareness, the interest, and then the sales. And this is the advertising, the promotion, the publicity. Okay? So this is like some of the key phases that you will go through. Okay, now let's talk about market research. Now everyone tells you, all right, you got to do market research. And I say, all right, yeah, I want to do market research, but how do I do it? Okay? So here's some key questions that you have to look for. Okay? So first of all, who will buy my product? And don't tell me everybody. And I hear that all the time. Everyone wants it. Okay, not everyone's going to want it. Okay, even the iPod, for example, how popular that is. Not everyone has an iPod. Okay. How many people will buy my product? Okay. How much are they willing to spend? Where do they shop? They shop online. Do they go to Target? Do they go to the grocery store? Where are they going to shop for your type of product? And how do I get their attention? Is this going to be TV? Is it going to be magazines? Direct mail? And really, who is my competition? And really, how am I going to overcome them? Am I going up against a big, huge conglomerate? Okay, where they're spending millions and millions, or do I have maybe a niche? And I'd rather see you start with a small niche, focus your product to them, and build from there. And are there any regulations that you have to be concerned about? Okay? Do you have to deal with the FCC or the FDA? And again, there's costs involved in that. Okay? If you have an electronic product, then you have to deal with, let's say, the UL. Now, the UL is not required. Does anyone have an electronic product they're working on? You do? So UL, have you worked with UL yet at all? No. So UL, again, it's not required, okay? But it's sort of a suggested thing. It's a marketing thing, believe it or not. You have two products on the shelf, both identical, right? And you say, all right, one's been tested by the UL and one hasn't, and they're the same price. Which are you going to buy? Okay? And it also gets out some of the bugs. And people hate to think about product liability problems. But if it's been tested by a certified lab, that helps. Okay? The other point is, again, if you're dealing with some of these government agencies, I used to deal with like the FCC when I did wireless devices. We would take our product, take it to a test lab. They would run their tests, generate a report, and that report would go to the FCC. And then you pay the FCC and wait 3 months later, and then you keep asking them, is it done, is it done? And then we get our product. Once that's done, then we'd have to ship it to, let's say, Verizon, and they would do their testing. Okay, so you have to think about in terms of if you are involved with some regulations, how much is it going to cost, how long it's going to take. Okay? Now, if you happen to get to the point where you're working with a European product, you see that mark says CE on it. They're very stringent about a lot of certifications. Now, you can go to the FTC, Federal Trade Commission website. They have a lot of information there about packaging and what you can say, what you can't say. Okay? All right, let's go on. So let's talk about researching your industry. Now, one of the things you need to do is be very clear on what your industry is and what's going on in that industry. Okay? So, you have an automotive product. Okay? Is it a housewares product? Okay? Is it entertainment? Is it sporting goods? And you want to know as much as you can about that product as possible. I'm sorry, about that industry as possible. Okay? Now, all right, you say, it sounds good. Now, where do I get that information? Now, obviously, you can start with the websites. Google is very popular, Yahoo, Business. BizStats.com has a lot of information. Webdir.net, very good. And Census.gov. The census has tons of information. Our tax dollars are hard at work creating all this data. And I have a book, for example, it's over 1,400 pages. It cost about $35. It's excellent. It's got tables. You wouldn't imagine the kind of statistics that are kept on us and businesses. There's lots of incredible data about that. Okay? Now, in addition, if you are searching online, what are some of the keywords that you might use? Okay? Here are some, like market potential, market research. And notice I use the quotes around the words, and that means it's going to be a specific search using that. So you would use, let's say, market share or market trends with your keyword based on what your product is. And here's an example. Let's say your product is a teddy bear, okay? And you're up here doing your search, and you say, all right, market trends, teddy bear. Then you see, okay, look what comes up. There's a Vermont teddy bear company. There's some market trends, information, and market research, okay? Now, the library, believe it or not, has a lot of great information. Does anyone use the library? Good. They have reference books where you can't check out, but they've got fantastic information. Industry surveys. Again, you find out what's my industry, and there'll be that listed there. And they'll tell you, all right, here's all the big players here. This is the size of the market. This is what the new trends are. All this information is right there. Industry handbook is very good. U.S. market trends and forecasts. U.S. industry and trade outlook. Okay, these are all excellent resources for you. And they also have online, like Hoover's, New York Times, etc. Literally, some libraries are set up where if you have a library card, you can go online, and they have databases that you would normally have to pay for. You could actually go online and log in and use these other resources like Hoover's, New York Times, etc., where you normally have to pay for these, but you can get them free through the library. Okay? You can either use their computers at their library, or literally you can do it from home over the internet. It's really great.